But before we get into the new year, we will go ahead and conclude this tournament. And this tournament starts right now in terms of the playoffs as we head into Pride of our Terrace for game number 1. So let's go and introduce our players here. As our first player at the top left, we got the blue Protoss playing for Alpha X. Give it up for Astrea.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. It is the red Zerg player, Solar. I love it. Solar immediately going for the far gold base. We were just talking about this yesterday during Group B, right? How Zergs, you know, they tend to like that against Protoss.
Yeah, in fact, Astrea actually played against one of the Zergs. I forgot exactly. I think Rogue. And he actually proxied a gateway there to start off the game.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it was found out because the Zerg was trying to take the gold, but after seeing the proxy, it was like, never mind. And then they of course transitioned into something like a Stalker Sentry move out, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it looks like we have another one of these wonky games where one of the Zergs takes the gold, but not only the Zerg. Astrea, being the cheeky man himself, also taking the gold base as well.
Yeah, I just want to note that that probe that actually built that proxy, gold base nexus, I can't even call it a proxy nexus, you know? But that probe actually did scout out Solar's own gold base. So I'd say Astrea is pretty much in complete control of the situation. He knows his opponent, and he's going to go for that gold as well. I like this move a lot by Astrea.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Two can play at that game. I mean, if you're gonna take the gold yourself, I'm gonna take the gold of mine as well. And of course, Solar with his Overlord does scout this, as there is no nexus at the what would be the natural.
Solar immediately sending over his first 2 lings to the gold base. So both players know that they're each taking the gold base. Man, I love this. It's just like one of those mind games. I love that shield battery placement as well, preventing the lings from getting in from that side. Of course, this is going to cost a little bit of mining time. The probes do have to be pulled off. Good probe micro as well as ling micro, keeping every unit alive pretty much. Wow, look at that. 1 Zergling down to 3 health.
Wow. Yeah, some nice grid probe micro, and with the shield battery, that pretty much shuts down any potential ling attacks for the time being. But looks like Solar is gonna go ahead and throw down an early Roach Warren. I mean, he can't afford to. I mean, he has the gold, and so right now he is gonna go ahead and put on a little bit of pressure against Astrea. Not too much, not like an all-in or anything, but I think just a little bit, just to force Astrea's hand.
Astrea in the meantime following up with a robo as well as 2 gateways at that gold. I like the building placement because it keeps the gold base just a little bit safer. So now it's on to Rogue to see whatever damage he can do with these 5 roaches. I'm not sure if he's going to get much done with the lings at least, but the roaches definitely have potential here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, with no Immortal or Stalkers out yet, this can actually be a bit scary. I mean, only 2 Adepts. Oh man, this is
Ooh. Yeah, this is scary already. Shield battery overcharge is popped on the back line shield. So far, Warp Gate is just about to finish, so there will be more units warping in. But these initial Adepts, they're in a whole lot of trouble. Probes are pulled off the line. Stalkers are doing their best that they can. War Prism has started at the Robo, but more lings are streaming on through. I think Solar is just going to go for it. He's not stopping. He's making more lings. Ravagers are still alive. This is not looking good for our blue Protoss.
Yeah, I guess I was mistaken. I said it wasn't going to be an all-in, but I think Solar saw blood in the waters and is going to go ahead and commit in more Zerglings, or rather Speedlings, like coming across the map. And the last shield battery has been struck down. No more healing. And I think Astrea is down to his last units. There we go. GG. Solar with a huge solid attack will take game number 1. Alright, so something that's already noticeable off the bat is that Astrea did not send out his early probe, or his probe early to kind of block the Zerg space. I would have liked to see that because, again, like you mentioned, the bases are kind of further apart. So that means the distance time in which the drones has to walk from the main base into the, I guess, the natural dirt base area would be a bit further, but I guess Astrea deciding, nah, you know what? I'll just play a standard and not be cheeky or anything.
Oh, right. I remember when Gateway Scouts used to be like the main sort of standard way of playing, and then of course we had the Pylon Scouts, which would force the hatchery block, and then the Zerg would have to take their third base as the hatch, that kind of thing. Always a nuisance for the Zerg.
Yeah, I think that's probably the purpose of a probe's life. Besides mining minerals and gas, it's just to be annoying.
Oh yeah, definitely. I always think about the first episode of the Carbot animations. I think it was called The Problem or something like that. Very, very cute.
Oh
If you
yeah.
guys haven't seen Carbot, the StarCraft's animations, you really should. They're they're very fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are so cute, and those plushies, man. Those plushies are so adorable.
Yeah, I revisited Heart of the Swarm, the campaign, recently, and it just, I forgot how not cute Zerglings actually are. Like, they're terrifying. They have, like, sharp teeth and everything. You know? Like, wow. Well, anyways, looks like these four Lings are not going to get a pick on the Adept. Interestingly enough, we do see a Void Ray first from Astrea, so I feel like Astrea doesn't really play Stargate too often, but when he does, like, it should be pretty special.
Yeah, I think seeing that the Overlord is there, kind of just parking around, I think he just wants to get rid of it as well, as soon as possible. However, that Overlord will be able to see at least the Oracle being made on the Stargate. Of course, Stargate is one of those buildings that actually can reveal what your the Protoss is making. So that's kind of one of the weaknesses, but that's kind of a rewarding for the Zerg Scouter, whether it's the Overlord or a Ling that's kind of sneaking in there. But looks like Astrea will go ahead and take the dirt as well. Void Ray will attack, looks like the dirt or the main, but I expect that the Oracle will attack one of the other ones, because the Void Ray is mainly used as a distraction, while the Oracle does the main drone killing.
Yeah, this Void Ray actually getting some pretty good value, already killing two Spore Crawlers that we're building. This Oracle is going to try to come back in here, but 4 Queens are already on site, so all it's going to do is get a tag off. And I like this. We see a Twilight Forge follow-up for Astrea. Overall, you know, the damage from the Void Ray was pretty decent. 2 drones plus another 150 minerals for the 2 Spore Crawlers that did not actually get cancelled. So that in itself is pretty good.
Yeah, and it looks like we're kind of practically go into like a standard mid game here, as both players are gonna start droning up and saturating their dirts. I wonder what's the kind of the follow-up for Astrea here. What's the plan?
Yeah, it looks like it will be charge coming out of the Twilight, but I'm kind of curious, you know what? Okay, there we go. So we do see a Templar Archives going down, indicating that he's going more for a Immortal Charge-Lot Archon kind of build, possibly, you know, throwing some storms. So like you said, very, very standard sort of ground Protoss army for Astrea.
Yeah, it's looking kind of the like the ICA, the Immortal Charge-Lot Archon kind of army composition, and it looks like maybe Astrea may want to go ahead and do a timing push, because Immortal Archon and Charge-Lot, they do work to a certain point. They're really great in the mid game. However, when it does go into the late game, you know, it's not actually the greatest. So he may want to go ahead and go for a timing attack. He is throwing down a couple of gateways. Let's see here. How many gateways is that? He has 4, and then he has another 4 on the way. So looks like a total of 8 gateways. So you might see a kind of a explosion of army very soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what comes up. Of course, there is going to be that Robo continuously pumping out Immortals, which will be key in fighting this Roach-based army. And it looks like Solar is going to go pretty heavy into the Roaches because he is actually getting that +1 missile upgrade rather than the +1 melee.
Mm-hmm. And looks like Astrea is ready to move out. He's lining up really well with the +1, so this is actually a pretty nice timing attack. Now, it looks like he's not completely committed in here as he is throwing down the 4th base at the same time, which kind of tells me that he is not gonna... Oh, actually, hold that thought. That's
very
nice,
cute.
Nice force field there.
Yeah, you said a good set of force fields. Shaves off one of the queens, which actually, I believe that was the highest energy queen, so pretty good, you know, making sure that you limit the Zerg's capabilities. But it looks like Astrea is just going to go on and head on home. He scouts out the rest of the Roach Ravager Ling army with those 2 adepts, and looks like he's just going to sit back at home, macro up, make sure that his 4th base is up and running. And look at this. Now it is Solar's turn to try to hit a timing. A little bit early for his +1 missile, but it seems like he does not really need to worry about that. I mean, the supply is in his favor, as it should be, but then we also have some full energy queens. We have a Ling run by. And Storm is just about to finish, so I think this is now going to be a fight on Astrea's turf, trying to ward off the Zerg.
At the same time, Astrea doing a kind of a drop attack into the main base while harassing Solar's 4th base. So here we go. It looks like both players are ready to commit into killing off each other's bases, but Astrea does have the high ground, and some nice Storm will thwart the attack for the time being. At the same time, the charge lot drop into the main base has finally been cleaned up, but on the other side, I think this is the main battle here.
That's right. So we do see some very, very good Storms going down on the Ravagers, which of course are just a little bit squishier than the Roaches. Of course, Storm isn't too good against the Roach Ravager based army because they just have so much health. Looks like some of these Archons are starting to pop. Astrea might be a little bit desperate to try to hold. There is a lot of Zerg here, but Shield Battery Overcharge is popped. Another round of charge lots is going to be warped in. Archons are still standing strong for the most part, and it looks like Astrea might just hold. He is taking the supply lead, and of course against Roach Ravager, if you're ahead, then you're good. Looks like the rest of the charge lots are going to get cleaned up, and Astrea is going to take game number 2. Alright, looks like Solar is going to be forced to take the 3rd base, given that the probe was being a little bit of a nuisance, preventing that natural base from going down.
Yep, so of course, I think even if the Protoss does not send a probe to block it, the natural of the Zerg, I feel like Zerg should just go straight for that 3rd base, or the I guess the original 3rd base there, the triangular base, because I think it just serves a bit more advantageous purposes. I mean, yes, you do have to deal with things like War Prism or maybe some Oracles or Void Rays flying back and forth, but I do think that the forward 2nd base just serves a better, gives a bit more advantage, I would say, with a faster creep spread and kind of being able to do a timing attack if you see the Protoss going for a very greedy build or attacking really greedily.
Yeah, just being able to push that creep out a little bit further, it can definitely have some benefits.
Alright, so we did see Astrea going for Stargate play last... wait, was that the first game?
No, I think it was the game that we just saw. Game
Okay,
number 2. Yeah.
So yeah, he... oh, right. He opened up with Void Ray and Oracle. Yeah, so basically we saw Astrea opened up with Stargate last game, but this time around switching back to the ground as he is throwing down a Twilight Council. And actually this reminds me of yesterday, because Astrea actually did something similar to this where he went for I mentioned in the previous game the Warp Prism with the Glaive Adepts.
Right.
And then he transitioned it into a Mass Entry, Mass Blink Stalker timing attack.
Yeah.
And
Oh man,
yeah,
that was really creative. Yeah.
it worked out for him yesterday. So let's see if Solar can handle it better.
Yeah, so far it looks like Astrea is on track to sort of repeat at least the opening sequence. You know, he's got the Glaive Adepts going up. He's got the 3 additional gateways. And now are we going to see the War Prism coming out in just a second? Or is it going to be another unit? Yep, there we go. Yeah. So you called it, Snoopy. This is going to be a Warp Prism Glaive Adept sort of build, and it's going to probably be taking advantage of the high ground, high ground, low ground distribution, where the main has a lot of space. That way, the Glaive Adepts can get warped in without being in danger. And then, of course, after that, we're going to have to wait and see what the follow-up is. Solar, of course, responding with a very standard Roach Warren, as well as a Spine Crawler in the front. I like that move a lot, right? So he's scouted out, hey, there are a lot of Adepts on the way. Maybe he doesn't necessarily want to burn through larva, that kind of thing. But that Spine Crawler, even if the DPS isn't that high, which it still is in the early game, it's just going to give Solar a little bit more presence against these Adepts.
Alright, here we go. The first group of Adepts will go ahead and attack the dirt. Meanwhile, Warp Prism looking to maybe... Oh, actually does go back to warping some more Adepts at the dirt base area. Will he lift them up into the Warp Prism? Yep, it looks like he will. So, gonna split off 2 of them. Spore Crawler does... Spine Crawler does reposition to a better position, actually. I do like that.
Yeah, overall, Solar is handling these Adepts pretty well. Of course, these 2 Adepts that were in the main, I love the use of the Shades to rally back to the Warp Prism, making sure that they can get away unscathed. Look at that, excellent micro from Astrea. Picking out 4 drones, which is actually pretty good, given that they were for free, right? The 2 Adepts did survive. The Warp Prism is going to go home unscathed. Or, actually, Astrea looking for a little bit more damage coming into the 3rd. Picks off a couple more drones. I like that move a lot.
Yeah, he hasn't really done like a huge amount of drone kills, but he's kind of picking off a little here and there, and you know, if you can kind of continue that, it does add up to a whole bunch. So nice little pickoffs for Astrea. Now normally this will be the point in the game where the Protoss loses all his Adepts, and the Zergs kind of counters with mass Lings and Roaches and Ravagers, and then it's like pretty much GG there. But Astrea did something interesting. He did not actually continue the attack. He actually retreated back home. So all his Adepts are still alive. And now he's going to go ahead and mix in some Immortals for those Roaches, and then also transition to what I would assume is Colossus, but it could definitely be Disruptor Disruptors as well. So let's see here. Okay, looks like a Disruptor will be his choice of tech there.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Of course, Solar, being very Ling heavy, is going to be sort of countered initially by these Adepts, although they are caught out on the map just a little bit awkwardly. The Lings are going to get a full surround. Look at that. The Biles are going down, taking care of a lot of the Adepts before the Shade finishes. Good Immortal pickup micro with the Warp Prism, but Shield Battery Overcharge is forced, and the Adepts are still trying to take care of whatever they can with the Ravagers. Lings have already gotten in. A Disruptor did get a pretty nice hit off on the Lings that were surrounding it. But yeah, these Lings that are in the main are going to go back down into the natural. Meanwhile, the Ravagers are still fighting. One of them is being morphed right on top of the main Immortal army. Looks like Astrea was just caught out of position by a little bit, and it's going to cost him his entire army.
Oh yeah, even if Astrea does manage to hold on to this dirt, there are Lings actually picking off every single probe at the natural, and you can see it. The probe death count rising on up. So looks like Solar did indeed do the enough damage here to justify this attack here, and that's it. Solar will take the series lead as he goes up 2-1. Looks like we're gonna have a pretty normal opening, nothing too crazy. Now, of course, because this is a best of 5, and Astrea is pretty much, I mean, his back is against the wall as he is down 1-2. He pretty much has no lives to give. Does he go for a YOLO build? Does he go for an all-in of some sort? Or does he kind of plays it out? I'm gonna guess that he's just gonna play it out, because I feel like when Astrea is back against the wall, he kind of relies on his his gameplay and his skills to try to get him to win, to push into a 5th game. And as I say that, though, what is this? A gold base Nexus before at the 2-minute mark? What? Oh wait, actually, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, okay.
You know, I feel like I'm gonna go a different way. My guess is gonna be that he's gonna. Oh no, Astrea. Dang, I was gonna say he's gonna go for a charge lot all in with the with the gold base, but no, it looks like he's gonna open up with the Stargate. Is that a full? I believe that's a full wall at the natural, right?
Yeah, that's a full wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a second there, I actually thought it was a 3rd gold base, but it's actually his 2nd. So okay, I thought it was like going for, you know, like he was pretending to be a Zerg going for 3 hatcheries. Okay, so he's not that crazy, I guess. So, but yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I really like Solar's intuition. He did send out that 1 ling and did actually see the probes mining from the gold mineral line. This was all after he put down his 3rd hatch, though. So apparently, even after seeing the lack of a Nexus at the natural base location, he still felt comfortable enough to put down that 3rd hatch on location.
Yeah, I think if he had scouted earlier, maybe he would have actually thrown down that 3rd hatchery at the gold base himself. But I would say just from the start here, it looks like Astrea should get a little bit of an economic advantage. Now, what he does with that little bit of advantage, it remains to be seen, but it looks like Solar looking to kind of dive in here maybe with some links, but with the shield battery and those 2 adepts, I think he should be safe for the time being.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it looks like Astrea is going to take the gases at his gold base location. He is also going to put up a 3rd Nexus at his natural base location, so I think my dreams of a charge lot all-in are dashed at this point.
That could have been actually pretty neat, because charge lot build maybe like a 8-10 gateway charge lot timing attack is not actually in the meta right now. It used to be, but not anymore.
Right.
And I think it would have been actually pretty neat if he actually brought that back and actually made it work. I think he could have actually made it work, because right now, only the Roach Warren is only now being thrown down. So, yeah, I think it might have actually worked out in the end, but too bad we won't ever know.
Ooh, Oracle taking a little bit of hull damage is going to get a tag on the main base location. Good job for Astrea, you know, keeping that Oracle alive, making sure that he still has scouting and harass potential later on into the game. But I like the follow-up. We are going to see double Void Ray production, as well as +1 air attack. So, are we going to see a fleet beacon pretty soon? I don't think Astrea is going to have the gas for it. But, yeah, I don't know. Could this be a speed ray sort of build?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, yes, this map does have the inhibitor zones in the kind of the dead space areas where Void Rays would normally fly across, but at the same time, I mean, you can kind of circumvent it a little bit. And, you know, I think Void Rays wouldn't be that out of a choice. You do have to watch out for Queen Walks, but that gold base is actually so far away that all you need to do is park your Void Rays at the natural. I think he should be fine. But actually, as I say that, he actually went the other way around. Never mind, he's going straight for that gold.
Yeah, I like this move a lot by Solar. The minerals would have worked more in Solar's favor if they were actually mined out, because the Lings could then get on top of all of the probes and just stream on in. But now it's going to be up to the Void Rays to stave off the Queens, and then after the Queens are dead, Astrea's goal will be to clean up the rest of the ground army. And it looks like with only 3 Queens left to face, how many Void Rays is that? 6? Yeah, it looks like this Ravager Queen Ling army is going to have to go on home.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why this map is actually really good for air toss. And I do really like how Astrea has gone for air toss. Now he's throwing down the fleet beacon. And I think sooner or later, with that many Void Rays, he will definitely get those that Void Ray upgrade. And I think he can actually start transitioning to maybe even carriers, because he did just pulled off that attack with pretty much minimal losses. And Solar, I don't think his queen count is healthy. Yeah, he only has 7 queens, which may sound like a lot, but at this stage, with, let's see here, 8 Void Rays, 9 Void Rays, it's not a good thing. When you have when the process has more Void Rays than the queens, it's not a good sign.
Right. I believe something like a one-on-one. Ooh, one Void Ray actually does get picked off, unfortunately, for Astrea. But anyways, yeah, I believe you want more than a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Because at such high Void Ray counts, and especially when they get speed, which, by the way, is not going to be the follow-up. Carriers will be the follow-up. So you did call it earlier, Snoopy, as well as the 3rd Stargate. I like this a lot, right? Astrea has established dominance in the air, and he is just going to continue angling for that advantage, because like you said, if there aren't enough queens, then really the Zerg needs to either, you know, produce queens non-stop and basically sacrifice a lot of his ground army for that, or he needs to go straight into Spire, and no Spire has been produced yet for Solar.
Yeah, so basically his only anti-air is in these queens, and maybe he get lucky with the corrosive bounds, but that normally doesn't happen. But actually with this many Ravagers, maybe he can get some nice clean shots. But what worries me is that these queens have very low energy right now, and so they only have a limited amount of transfuse. And one of the great things about queens versus air toss is that they can kind of transfuse over and over again. This is not going to be the case. He's gonna have to be kind of selective with his transfusions.
Yeah, now what we're seeing now is basically a trading out for minerals in the form of Astrea's static defense against minerals and gas in the way that the Ravagers and the Roaches are falling. I really like the way that the Void Rays are engaging, staying out of range of the Queens for the time being, making sure that they can pick off whatever other ground units Solar does have. In the meantime, the carriers are in the back, building up their interceptor count before they engage the carriers as well. They have been taking pot shots here and there. Ooh, a nice Ravager Bile going down on a lot of those Void Rays, shaving off some of the shields as well as a little bit of hull damage. Looks like this 4th base at the 3rd base location is going to fall for now, as well as 9 probes. But we do see a Spire follow-up for the Zerg, which I think is a very good move. No more transfuses are left. We also see a Tempest coming out for Astrea. But yeah, this is still not looking great, I would say, right? Because the queen count is going to be reset. There's going to be even better Sky Toss units out on the field in the form of the carriers. And look at that. 3 Tempests are being produced at a time.
Yeah, I really absolutely love the way Astrea was so patient with that. He recognizes the fact that that 4th base, not the most important thing. I mean, yeah, he loses it. I mean, I'm sure he would have loved to keep it, but as long as he was able to buy some time, build up those interceptors, the carrier counts as well, and clean up the rest of the queens, then that is pretty much almost GG. Because right now, what can Solar do? He's making a bunch of Corruptors, but there are so many Void Rays out in the field that even if those Corruptors wants to snipe down those carriers and Tempests, he's gonna have to deal with those Void Rays. So Astrea, he can of course remake that Nexus. He did mine off those golden minerals, so he has plenty of minerals to remake that. And there we go, he plots that down once again. But look at that air fleet, man. That is that's 4 carriers, 3 Tempests, and 7 Void Rays. Make that 6 carriers now.
Yeah, there's always this sort of critical mass above which you don't really want to engage carriers with. Things like, you know, Hydralisks, Queens, they're just really not going to cut it anymore. You need something like 25 Corruptors. That way you can really start to one-shot. But like you said, Snoopy, if that is the goal, you're also going to have to face down all of those Void Rays, which, of course, are, you know, they've been here since the beginning of the game. They're still serving a purpose. They're still, you know, being valuable to Astrea. But look, we're about to see what could be the last engagement of this game.
Yeah, looks like the Void Rays will charge up here on those Corruptors. Will back out. So a little bit of a dance here, but Astrea being very careful to stay at the backside where all his shield batteries and cannons are. So very smartly done These queens kind of straggling behind a little bit. But once again, not a lot of energies, as the majority of the queens were killed earlier. So these are just basically freshly new made queens with not a lot of energy. So these corruptors has a lot of work to do for our red Zerg.
Yeah, corruptors, of course, they do have +1 armor, but looks like that is not going to be enough. Not enough transfuses to go around. And look at that, there are just way too many carriers. How many is that? 9 carriers? Yeah, yep. When you have more carriers than there are corruptors, then that's when you know you have a serious problem. Now, of course, 18 probes did go down. I believe the Lings or the Roach Ravager possibly got through and started killing some more of those probes. But I don't think that Astrea would be too concerned, since, I mean, look at his army, right? Like, the only thing that's really missing is a mothership, but he really does not need it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this air fleet is already strong enough. Of course, he can always make some mama ships later on. But here we go. Looks like Corruptor's gonna go ahead and pick off one of them. Let's see if he can kind of clean up the rest. This gold base isn't the most important for Solar. It's pretty much mined out. So I think if you want to, you can kind of sack it. But it looks like Solar is going to go ahead and try to save it, as these corruptors are engaging into these void rays. It's not a great idea. Yeah, he lost 18 probes back at home, but he is going to go ahead and kill 17, 18 drones. And that is it. Solar, he keeps his hopes alive and he forces a game 5. Alright, so we are here on game number 5. Going to take place on Hardwire. We'll see which one of these guys are going to advance to the finals of the Alpha X Christmas/New Year's tournament, and who will be knocked out. First up, spawning at the top right, we got our Blue Zerg, representing the team of Kai Z Gaming. Put your hands together for Solar.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, it is our red Protoss, Alpha X's Astrea. Astrea going for a very, very quick natural. Looks like it's going to be a Nexus before the gateway. How common is that? Is that common?
No, actually. And I think if there was any Protoss that would do that, I think it would be Astrea. He is one crazy bat sometimes.
Yeah.
And, I do actually really like this. He's banking on the fact that Solar is not going for any cheesy play. No like 6 pool or 7 pool or anything. Because it is a little bit risky if you're going to open up with Nexus first. But I think because this map is, at least the Natural's ramp is actually pretty small. If he did actually scout a fast pool, he can just throw down maybe a forge or a second gateway or something. Probably a forge, because he wouldn't be able to get that depth out in time. So yeah, I do like how Astrea is changing it up, and just also keeping the map layout in mind to eke out that little bit of advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this will definitely pay off in just a moment, right? That Nexus is done just a little bit quicker. You can start chronoing out your probes a little bit quicker, and that scouting probe did in fact see, hey, this is a hatch first, and I'm not going to get cheesed. Now, what really intrigues me, though, is this second gateway. Is Astrea going to go for a 2 adept opening behind this? Yeah, there we go. I love this.
Yeah, I think it should arrive before the speed is done, so he can kind of pretty much, at the very least, maybe kill off some creep tumors. I'm not sure if he can kind of get right into the mineral line to kill the drones, but let's see if he can. Oh, actually, yeah, he canceled, so I guess he's not moving across the map.
Like Astrea wants to play a little bit safer. Probably a mind game type of thing, right? He saw that the Overlord was in position to actually see the Adepts being produced. Maybe that's why he kept them at home. Oh, no, this is why he kept them at home. A pre 3 minute 30 second timing on the third Nexus. Astrea, you madman.
Yeah, this is man, this is so greedy by Australia, and you know what? I think he's gonna get away with it.
Yeah, I agree, right? That Overlord is not in position to scout out the Nexus. Now, just as I say that, a Ling is going to come in and see, hey, that Nexus is already halfway done. Maybe, I'm sure Solar would be able to tell that it's not... Well, actually, I'm not sure, right? Because don't Protoss buildings still look the same no matter what stage they're in?
I guess it depends on what Protoss buildings, but generally they, yeah, I guess they do look the same.
But yeah, like you said, I think this is definitely going to pay off, and it's kind of that sort of funny situation where the Protoss actually has the worker lead in a standard Protoss versus Zerg, and then after a while the Zerg actually not only catches up, but surpasses the worker count of the Protoss. I have a feeling that Astrea is not going to have any such worries, because look at that. We see 51 probes. Well, you know, it's still a 10 worker difference, 9 worker difference, but, you know, having 3 Nexuses to chrono out probes is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like Australia is looking for a Sentry Blinkstalker timing. He is throwing down a bunch of gateways, making that War Prism as well. And he's going to attack in the very near future. And it's going to be up to Solar to scout this out and not stick with the drones, because right now he is droning very hard. He needs to start making some units, some roaches and stuff to help defend this big attack that's incoming.
Oh, not only do we see Blink on the way, but a Dark Shrine, Dark Templar Shrine. Okay, this is going to be an interesting follow-up. Now, Lings are going to try and see whatever damage they can do. Scouting out the natural, of course, they are going to see that, oh, are these sentries actually going to get caught out? Nope, not quite. The rest of the army is going to come back to back them up. So it looks like both players are just about ready to start engaging. We see some pretty decent force fields, but it doesn't really matter as the Lings are still going to try and attack. A lot of them are going to sacrifice their lives kind of in vain, right? Not many of these Protoss units even took that much damage.
Yeah, those force fields helping out with that, and actually with the force fields energy being wasted, I'm wondering if he should warp in some additional force fields. Maybe, yeah, if he doesn't warp in any more sentries, then I think he's just using this attack to just scare, and then like build up to a Colossus ball in the meantime.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that that's the more likely follow-up, given that the Dark Shrine was actually cancelled. I think that the Overseer scouted it, and so Astrea ended up canceling the Dark Shrine. But yeah, the Robo Bay is just about to finish. Interestingly enough, it looks like Astrea is just going to head on home. I think that given how many Lings Solar is producing, he probably was tricked into thinking that this was a committed attack. No, it looks like it's actually going to be a Disruptor follow-up. I really like this. Now, the +1 Protoss attack is a little bit late, but of course this is Blink Disruptor against Roach Ravager.
Yeah, looks like, oh, actually, looks like Solar is looking to attack this time around. Yeah, that Disruptor is going to be really important. Can he get that juicy Disruptor hit that he needs in order to defend against this? Baneling speed is about to finish, so here we go. This might be actually the concluding attack, but we shall see how these players handle it.
That's right. Now, first Disruptor hit. Oh, okay, it is going to get a couple of Ravagers as well as some Lings, Banelings. Wow, excellent force fields, forcing back the Banelings for the time being, because of course the Banelings are the most lethal. Now, a small force of Banelings are going to go circle around. They're going to try to wrap around and see if they can connect on the Banelings, and they are. Shield Battery Overcharge is popped, so it's not going to be enough Banelings to actually kill the Stalkers, but they do suffer a lot of damage. This is, for all intents and purposes, a fairly committed attack by Solar. He is going to follow up with 10 drones, which I really, really like, because before this, he was actually down something like 10 workers. But here we go for another round. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a two-pronged attack. Lings and roaches are going to come in from the right side, and then the main force are going to come in from the left. They are going to take down 9 probes, given that the banelings were allowed to roll in. So this was actually a really smart move. I think that Solar recognized he might not be able to actually get a lot of damage done. Ooh, those disruptor hits are juicy, landing on those critical Ravagers.
Yeah, those he really needs to save all the units he can, because during that attack, yeah, he got some probes and stuff, but the base is still up, and more importantly, no disruptors were killed, which means that disruptor count is gonna go up little by little to the point where if Astrea decides to go across the map and attack, what can Solar do? I mean, he is gonna basically be zoned out, and he's going to have to sacrifice his hatchery because of that. There's really nothing here to counter those disruptors. There's no Vipers on the way at all. And it's just like, there's really no answer, no counter to it. So I'm a little bit afraid here for Solar.
Yeah, same here. Another good pair of force fields are going to force the Lings back yet again. We are going to see a Templar Archives follow-up as well as air attack. So I think that Astrea is planning to follow up with some sort of air-based army, air plus storm, which is, of course, the perfect endgame against a Zerg opponent. But yeah, like you said, you know, the critical units being the disruptors, the key splash units, have not been taken down. And it's kind of, you know, it's a little bit misleading to say that they're even because they have even supply. Solar's army is pretty costly in terms of the Ravagers and Banelings. And it's also much lower tech, right? They're going up against disruptors and soon to be a very heavy air-based army, given that there are 3 additional Stargates on the way. So I don't know, it's kind of weird to call it an all-in, but yeah, it does feel like Solar, you know, he needs to get damage done now, or else he's never going to get damage done.
Yeah, because right now the Stargates and Fleet Beacons are just finished, and that means carriers are going to be into production, so there's going to be pretty much absolutely no answer for those carriers, let alone those disruptors as well. Oh, actually, you know, he catches these disruptors out and about. He needs to surround them, gets them. Okay, nice catch there.
Yeah, those disruptors were out and, you know, pretty vulnerable, so Lings and Banes are going to find openings, but I love it. Just the sheer number of Stalkers is enough to force back the entire Zerg army, even though all of the disruptors were actually lost. So I'm wondering, is Astrea going to follow up with something like Void Rays, or is he going to wait for a Fleet Beacon? No, he actually has a Fleet Beacon, my bad. So it will be up to him to decide whatever air he wants to go into.
Yeah, however, it looks like he has yet to actually start producing from those Stargates, instead electing to go for Storm. I think that might have been a mistake. I think he should have started the carriers, because he's going to have a certain window before the Stargate and the Fleet. Actually, I think he just got scattered by the Overseer. In the meantime, he does lose that crucial base. He does need the extra gases to power through all these high gas units, such as the carriers, such as the High Templars and Storm. And that means that it's going to be just that little bit more difficult for Astrea to mass up that air fleet that he was kind of preparing for. Now, the element of surprise is gone. Those Stargate has been... Oh, actually, Overseer has yet to actually fly right in deep into it enough to scout it. So he still has actually a window where he can kind of catch Solar off guard and catch him by surprise.
Yeah, this is so interesting, right? Because we see 4 Stargates, we see the Fleet Beacon, and only now do we see the carriers being produced. Astrea did have a lot of gas banked up, so I do like the move to go into High Templar and Archons. Of course, Lings don't do that well against Archons given their splash damage, etc. But the Lings and Banes are making a game of it. Now, an excellent Storm is going to go down, blanketing a lot of the Banelings and the Zerglings. Ravagers are, of course, you know, being utilized to their full extent. which honestly Solar is making a game of it, I do have to say. Now, when the carriers are out on the field, it might be a different story, but for now, the Storms are pretty good, but Astrea is kind of hurting because he's only on 3 bases.
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me, is that his economy is falling further and further behind. However, he did just catch a bunch of Banelings on his the left side base, and so that was a nice catch to eliminate some of the Baneling count, and now he can kind of go ahead and potentially give chase to this Ravager army. Oh, actually, I think he's going to catch these Banelings once again.
Yeah, very nice catch. Now, that is a high number of Banelings. It is going to take out a little bit, or not a little bit, but definitely a pretty good chunk of those Stalkers. Another Ling run-by. Solar is just relentless with the Ling and the Bane run-bys, which is, of course, exactly what you need to be doing given this position. Okay, so now the Lings are going to see, hey, those are Interceptors. Carriers are out on the field. What is Solar's response going to be? It looks like for now he is going to follow up just with more Lings. He is going to force yet another cancel on the 4th base, and like you were saying, Snoopy, this is really hurting Astrea's economy.
Yeah, he really needs that extra base because the gas, those carriers are very gas intensive, and if he wants to go ahead and go for a super air fleet, he's gonna definitely need to start mining. Let's go ahead and take a look at the income graph. Yeah, you can see it all blue right now, and so Astrea, he does have the tech advantage, but the economy advantage goes to Solar.
Yeah, a huge Ling Bane Roach Ravager force is going to come in, crashing into the 3rd. I think that's enough Banelings to just right-click on the Nexus, right? In any case, the Lings are going to... are they going to... Yeah, they will finally take down the 3rd. But yeah, then you have to consider the Lings to the south, you know, just chomping away at that 4th base location. That last time, there actually was not a cancel, so only just now is there going to be a cancel. 25 probes have gone down. Astrea needs to make a move, and he needs to make a move right now. So it looks like he will be trying to push forward with his Archon carrier storm-based force. I don't think it's going to be enough. Spire is just about to finish. He's still got a substantial... Solar, that is. He still has a pretty big ground army. So he is going to clean up all of the ground Protoss forces. And then, of course, just 3 carriers. You know, it's not too big of a threat, especially given that his Spire just finished.
Yeah, I mean, there are still additional carriers joining the fray, so maybe there is this short timing window because the Corruptors will be popping out little by little, and maybe he can kind of catch them, or Solar can, Astrea can catch these Corruptors while they're popping out. So it's do or die right now. This is it. Right.
Both players are pretty low on supply given the state of the game. The first Parasitic Bomb is going to go down. The first 2 Parasitic Bombs, excuse me. Carriers are going to start taking some shield damage, but yeah, they're still going to be safe from the Corruptors just for now. And like you said, it's do or die for Astrea. He needs to gut Solar's forces, and he needs to do it right now. So Corruptors are going to come in, engaging on top of the Corruptors, which is not what you want. So a lot of the Corruptors are going to fall initially, but more are on the way. I think this is going to be really close. I don't actually know who takes this. My gut feeling says Solar, but I don't know. I've always underestimated carriers. Like, 1 carrier could destroy like 2 bases, and then I would just GG out, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is pretty close, actually. Surprisingly pretty close, because it seemed like Solar was able to pretty much take it, but the air advantage still lays with Astrea, and he just sniped off the Spire, so no more Corruptor production here for Solar. These Corruptors in the production are his last ones.
Yeah, looks like the Corruptors that are out on the field, they're going to go ahead and go for it. They're going to take down the first carrier, and then they're going to start working on the last 3. This is such a precarious position for both players, right? You cannot lose the carriers like Astrea just did, so he's going to recall the remaining 2. I like that move a lot, but yeah, I think... Oh man, Solar just barely held, right? He's going to focus on the Roach and the Ravager production, the Ling production, and, you know, at this point, I think that Astrea just barely lost the battle in the air, and now he's probably not going to be able to win the fight on the ground as well.
Yeah, I think when he rewatches this replay, I think he's gonna find out that he really should have transitioned to the air tech, the carrier tech, a lot sooner. Unfortunately, he delayed it for so long that at this stage, the Corruptors was Solar was able to amass enough Corruptors, and there we have it, guys. Solar will take this series 3-2.